The rain of shattered light poured across the black sky, as if the universe itself was bleeding out into the void. Alex's hands trembled over the cracked controls of the exploration shuttle, alarms shrieking in distorted tones. "Hold together. Please hold together," he whispered, his voice hoarse from hours of emergency maneuvers. Through the fractured canopy of the cockpit, a planet loomed. Emerald seas wrapped in spirals of storm, golden continents glimmering under two distant suns. This was not on any star chart. The ship broke atmosphere with a scream of tortured metal. Gravity seized it like a predator, dragging the shuttle through dense clouds that glowed green with unknown chemicals. Lightning spidered across the hull, tearing away fragments of the outer plating. Alex clenched his jaw, his knuckles white on the flight stick, as the vessel shuddered and dipped toward the rolling jungle below. Impact was sudden, brutal, and strangely quiet afterward. For a moment, there was only the hiss of cooling systems and the soft crackle of damaged circuits. Alex's chest rose and fell in ragged breaths. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. He unbuckled himself, boots slipping on debris as he staggered to his feet. Around him, the cockpit was a twisted cathedral of shadows and broken screens. Somewhere outside, something sang, a low melodic hum carried on the wind. Alex pushed the emergency hatch and stepped out. The air was thick with the scent of unfamiliar flowers, sweet and almost intoxicating. Towering trees with translucent leaves swayed, their trunks pulsing faintly with inner light. A river shimmered nearby, glowing softly like liquid sapphire. He took a hesitant step forward, feeling the soft earth beneath his boots, feeling for the first time the weight of being utterly alone on an alien world. Then movement, shapes between the trees, tall, slender figures with glowing eyes, watching silently. Alex froze, breath caught in his throat, unsure whether to speak, run, or bow. One of the figures raised an elongated hand, palm outward, in a gesture that felt both alien and strangely familiar. The hum grew louder, harmonizing, as if the forest itself was alive and aware. Alex's pulse thudded in his ears as the figure with the raised hand slowly stepped closer. The glow of its eyes shifted from blue to a gentle amber, and in that moment, Alex felt less threatened and more observed. He tightened his grip on the emergency flare still clipped to his belt. His only real weapon, but something in the figure's calm motion held him in place. The being stopped a few feet away. Its skin was a pale silver, smooth like polished stone, and faint symbols shimmered across its surface, forming and dissolving like ripples on water. It spoke or sang, a tone that vibrated in Alex's chest more than his ears. "Who are you?" Alex managed, his voice rasping. He didn't expect an answer. To his shock, the figure tilted its head as if considering, then replied in broken melodic words. "Stranger, sky fallen, wounded." Alex blinked, stunned. "You understand me." The figure's eyes brightened again. Behind it, more shapes emerged. 3, 4, then 7 in total, all moving with the grace of water flowing around stones. They whispered to each other in that strange song language, and Alex felt the sound stirring memories he didn't have, like echoes of dreams. He took a step back instinctively, but the first figure reached out, palm open, not touching him but radiating a warmth like sunlight through glass. The pain in his forehead seemed to ease, the dizziness fading. "You a help?" Alex asked softly. "Help?" the figure echoed. "Follow. Safe." It turned and began to move along a narrow path between glowing ferns. Alex hesitated, glancing back at the wreckage of his shuttle, smoke curling into the twilight sky. There was no food, no supplies left inside. Staying meant dying slowly. He adjusted the strap of his survival pack and stepped after them. The path wound through trees that pulsed with bioluminescent veins. Above, creatures like crystal-winged moths drifted in lazy spirals, leaving trails of light in the air. Alex's boots sank slightly into moss that glowed faintly with every step. He found himself whispering almost reverently, "It's beautiful." One of the beings, smaller than the first, glanced back and made a sound like laughter, though it resonated oddly, like a bell underwater. Alex smiled despite himself, the knot of fear in his stomach loosening. After a time, minutes or hours, it was hard to tell, they emerged into a clearing. At its center rose a structure unlike anything Alex had seen. A spire of living wood and crystal, entwined as though grown together over centuries. Lights ran along its surface in gentle waves, and the air smelled of rain and something sweet, like ripe fruit. The lead figure gestured toward the base of the spire. A circular opening unfurled like a flower blooming, revealing a dim interior lit by soft blue light. Alex hesitated at the threshold, glancing at the beings, then stepped inside. The walls pulsed softly, as if alive. Platforms of woven root rose in spirals, leading upward. In the center stood a basin filled with shimmering liquid. The lead figure placed a hand in it, then turned to Alex and beckoned. "Drink," it said. Alex crouched, staring at the basin. The liquid glowed faintly, emitting a fragrance that reminded him of childhood memories. Rain on old soil, his mother's garden, a feeling of home. He dipped his fingers in, brought a drop to his lips. It was cool and sweet, and as it slid down his throat, a warmth spread through him, steady and calm. Visions flickered at the edge of his mind. Cities of glass and stone, skies filled with twin moons, and voices singing ancient songs. He gasped and staggered back, gripping the edge of the basin. What is this place?" he whispered. The figure placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "Home," it said. "Now yours." Alex stared at it, heart pounding, and for the first time since the crash, hope stirred like a fragile flame within him. Alex sat near the glowing basin for a long moment, trying to steady his breath. The visions still flickered in his mind like fragments of a half-remembered dream. The figure, his silent guide, waited patiently, its luminous eyes watching with something that felt like kindness. Outside, night had fallen. Through an opening in the living wall, Alex could see the alien sky. 2 moons drifting apart, constellations he could not name burning bright against endless dark. Strange birds wheeled silently overhead, their wings tracing arcs of light. The other beings entered the chamber one by one, carrying woven trays filled with fruits that glowed faintly and leaves that shimmered with dew. They placed them on a low table, stepping back with graceful bows. Alex hesitated, then picked up a fruit the size of his fist. Its skin was soft, cool, and when he bit into it, sweet liquid burst over his tongue. Rich, tangy, unlike anything from Earth. Hunger he hadn't even felt before roared to life, and he devoured the fruit, then another and another, until the hollow ache in his stomach eased. The lead figure finally spoke again, its voice soft and melodic. "Sky fallen. Rest. Tomorrow speak." Alex nodded, exhausted. He found a place near the base of the spire where a woven mat had been laid out. As he lay down, the mat itself seemed to mold gently to his body, supporting every muscle. For the first time since the crash, he felt safe enough to close his eyes. Sleep came quickly. He dreamed of Earth, of the academy where he trained, of his sister laughing in the kitchen, of the shuttle before the storms. Then the dream shifted. The alien forest rose around him, but now the trees whispered in words he understood. "Do not fear. You are not alone. The sky has many paths." When he awoke, pale light filtered through the chamber. He sat up, blinking. The lead figure was already waiting, standing silently by the entrance. Alex stretched, feeling surprisingly strong. His cut forehead was nearly healed. The air smelled of morning rain. "Good morning, I guess," he muttered. The figure tilted its head, then gestured for him to follow. Alex slung on his survival pack and stepped out. Outside, the forest was alive with movement. Beings like his guides walked along suspended bridges of woven vines, carrying tools that glowed faintly. In the distance, he saw other spires rising above the canopy, connected by threads of light that hummed gently. It looked like an entire city grown from the forest itself. He couldn't help but whisper, "Incredible!" The figure led him along a path to a high platform overlooking the valley. Below, a river of light snaked through the trees, its banks lined with more glowing plants. Beyond that, distant mountains shimmered with blue mist. "This is your world?" Alex asked. The figure turned, eyes glowing softly. "Our heart, long before your stars." Alex took a deep breath. "I didn't mean to come here. My ship crashed." He touched his chest. "I don't even know if I can get home." The figure considered this. "Home far. But path maybe." It pointed toward the distant mountains. "They're old skyways." "Skyways?" Alex echoed, mind racing. Could that mean some kind of ancient transport? Maybe a chance to contact Earth? The figure continued. "Danger. Shadows. You need strength." Alex looked out over the valley again, then down at his hands. He felt the weight of the crash, the distance from everything familiar, but also a spark of determination. "Then teach me," he said quietly. The figure's eyes flared bright, and for the first time, it made a sound that was unmistakable, a soft laugh, warm and strange. It placed a hand on his shoulder. "Begin today." The day unfolded like something from another life. The lead figure, Alex had begun to think of it as guide, brought him to an open courtyard high in the branches of a massive tree. Sunlight filtered through shifting leaves, casting dancing patterns on the living wooden floor. Several other beings waited there, each carrying strange curved staffs and woven bands that hummed faintly when moved. Guide handed Alex a staff. It was light, yet when he held it, he felt a subtle vibration through his palms, as if the wood itself was alive. "Feel," Guide said simply. "Breathe. Listen." Alex stood awkwardly, imitating the posture of the others. They began to move, slow and deliberate, tracing shapes in the air with their staffs. The staffs glimmered faintly, leaving trails of light that faded after a second. At first, Alex's movements were clumsy. He nearly dropped the staff twice, and his shoulders ached. But the beings were patient. One of them, smaller and quicker than the rest, approached him, placing its own hands over his to correct his grip. Alex noticed that up close, its skin wasn't smooth at all. It was etched with countless tiny glyphs, glowing and fading in rhythm with its heartbeat. After hours of practice, the staff began to respond. When Alex swept it in a wide arc, it emitted a faint hum, and the air around the tip shimmered. The beings made approving sounds, soft notes that blended with the rustling leaves. Guide nodded. "Good. Staff listens. You listen. Balance." Alex panted, sweat on his forehead, but he smiled. "Feels like more than a weapon." "Not weapon," Guide corrected gently. "Key. Or light." Later that day, they led him deeper into the Spire City. Alex marveled at everything. Bridges that grew from vines as you stepped on them, lanterns filled with living crystals, and children, if that's what they were, chasing motes of light like fireflies. They arrived at a chamber lined with pools of liquid that reflected the sky like mirrors. Guide gestured toward one. "Look." Alex knelt and stared into the pool. At first he saw only his own reflection, tired eyes, hair matted from the crash. But then the image shifted. He saw Earth spinning slowly, clouds drifting over oceans. His heart ached. The image changed again. He saw the shuttle falling through a storm, flames licking its sides. He winced, gripping the edge of the pool. Then another vision. The distant mountains glowing under twin moons, and dark shapes moving at their base. Vague and shifting like shadows with teeth. A chill ran through him. "What are they?" Guide's tone dropped low. "Shadows. Old hunger. They guard skyways. We hold them back. Long time." Alex swallowed hard. "And if I want to reach those skyways, I'll have to face them, won't I?" Guide simply nodded. That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He stood on a balcony of woven branches, gazing at the moons. His mind churned with thoughts of home, of the mysterious beings, of the shadows waiting beyond the valley. He felt small under that alien sky, but not helpless. Footsteps, soft, almost silent, approached. It was the smaller being who had helped him earlier. It carried a bundle wrapped in shimmering cloth. "For you," it said in its musical tone. Alex unfolded the cloth. Inside lay a pendant carved from the same living crystal as the lanterns. It pulsed gently in time with his heartbeat. "What is it?" he asked. "Guide light," the being said. "When dark comes, it remembers the way." Alex closed his hand around it, warmth spreading through him. "Thank you," he whispered. The being tilted its head, then said softly, "You, not alone." And with that, it slipped back into the shadows of the spire, leaving Alex alone with the twin moons, the pendant glowing softly in his palm. Dawn broke, and a strange feeling in his chest, and violet, something like Alex courage. Awoke to the rustle of leaves and the murmur of voices outside his woven chamber. He slipped the pendant over his neck. It glowed faintly, as if sensing the new day. Guide waited for him near the edge of the platform, staff in hand. "Today," Guide said, "step beyond. Test." Alex's stomach tightened. "Beyond, as in the valley." Guide inclined its head. "Small step. Learn path. Shadows far, but echoes near." Together they descended along living ladders to the forest floor. The air was thick with scents of damp earth and strange blossoms. Insects like shards of glass zipped between the trees, leaving trails of luminescence. Alex kept his staff close, feeling the faint hum it always carried. After hours of trekking, the terrain changed. Vines gave way to smooth stone. Ancient carvings emerged on boulders, spirals, suns, and shapes that looked eerily like ships. Alex brushed his fingers over them, feeling a faint vibration. "These markings, are they yours?" Guide paused. "Old ones. Before us. Before you." A shiver ran down Alex's spine. They moved on, and soon the forest opened into a clearing where a shallow stream cut through the earth. The water glowed faintly blue, and small fish darted through it like streaks of light. Guide gestured for him to cross. Alex stepped into the stream, cool water lapping at his boots. Halfway across, the pendant on his chest pulsed faster. A shadow flickered beneath the water. He froze. "Guide," he called softly. The surface of the stream broke as something lunged upward, sleek, serpent-like, with glistening fins and eyes like burning coals. Alex stumbled back, staff raised. "Balance." Guide's voice came calm and steady. "Listen. Staff." Alex planted his feet, heart pounding. The serpent lunged again, but this time he swung the staff in a wide arc. A bright wave of light burst from the tip, striking the creature's side. It hissed, twisting in pain, then vanished beneath the glowing water. Alex stood there, chest heaving, watching ripples fade. Was that one of the shadows? Guide shook its head slowly. "Echo only. Small guardian. You did well." Relief flooded Alex, though his hands still trembled. He crossed the rest of the stream carefully, every sense on edge. As they continued, the forest grew denser, darker. Shafts of sunlight struggled through tangled branches. Strange calls echoed in the distance. Yet Alex began to feel something new. Confidence. Each step felt less foreign, each breath easier. They reached a high ridge, and Guide raised a hand for him to stop. Below stretched a canyon filled with glowing mists. Shapes moved in the fog. Tall, indistinct, their movements slow and deliberate. Alex crouched low. "What are those?" he whispered. Guide's voice dropped to a near hiss. "Shadows, scouts. Do not call them." A cold sweat broke on Alex's neck. He clutched the pendant, feeling its pulse steady his own heartbeat. They waited in silence until the shapes drifted away into the mist. Only then did Guide motion him back toward the forest. "Enough. For today. You see, you feel, you learn." Nightfall found them returning to the Spire City. Lanterns glowed softly among the branches. Alex sat near the basin again, dipping his hands into cool water, watching the ripples. He thought of the serpent, of the canyon full of shadows, and of Earth spinning so far away. Guide approached, laying a hand on his shoulder. Tomorrow a more far, more deep. You ready? Alex looked up, tired but determined. I will be, he said quietly. And for the first time since the crash, he truly believed it. The next morning, a faint mist coiled around the Spire City's upper branches. Alex tightened the straps on his makeshift pack while the crystal pendant glowed softly against his chest. Today felt different. He sensed a weight in the air, as though the trees themselves were holding their breath. Guide handed him a small pouch. Inside were seeds, each radiating a faint warmth. Plant when lost, Guide explained. They remember way home. Alex nodded, amazed at how simple and strange this world's logic was. He followed Guide down to the lower levels where 3 more of the glyph-skinned beings waited. Each carried a staff and a woven shield that shimmered with faint symbols. One of them, taller than the rest, regarded Alex with eyes like molten gold. You walk far, it said in broken common. Be careful. The group set off beyond the familiar forest trails. The canopy grew denser, dimming the light to a green twilight. Giant roots arched over their path like frozen waves. Alex felt the tension in his legs ease as he matched their measured pace, every sound around him magnified. The distant calls of unseen creatures, the creak of living wood. Hours passed before they reached an ancient stone arch half buried in moss. Symbols covered its surface, similar to those Alex had seen before but sharper, deeper, as if carved by something far stronger than human hands. Guide touched one glyph, and the air shimmered. This door, Guide said, leads to Hollowvein. Old tunnels. Dangerous. Alex's pulse quickened. And we're going in. Yes, Guide replied simply. The passage beyond the arch was narrow, carved into dark stone that glistened as though wet. Strange fungi glowed along the walls, casting pale blue light. The air was cooler here, heavy with the scent of minerals and something metallic. After a while, they entered a cavern where stalactites dripped into pools that sparkled like liquid silver. The sound of their footsteps echoed endlessly, making Alex feel both awe and unease. What are we looking for? He whispered. Guide's reply was soft but firm. Memory stone. Old map. Show skyways safe. As they spread out, the glow of their staffs illuminated carvings along the cavern walls, scenes of ships soaring above planets, figures offering light to shadowy beings. Alex traced one image with his fingers. A sudden rush of images filled his mind. Starfields, voices calling in a language he couldn't grasp, a sense of falling and rising all at once. He staggered back, gasping. The taller being steadied him. Stone speaks, it murmured. A deep rumble shook the cavern. Pebbles fell from the ceiling. Guide spun toward the archway they had entered through. Shadows writhed there, seeping in like living smoke. 2, then 3, then many, their eyes glowing dimly like embers. Run, Alex asked, gripping his staff. Stand, Guide said, planting its feet. Echo no more. Real. Alex felt terror rise but forced himself to breathe. He spun the staff as he'd practiced, its hum building to a low thrumming song. The shadows slithered closer, shapes shifting, arms, claws, jaws forming and reforming. One lunged, and Alex swung. Light burst outward, cutting through it. The shadow dissolved into black mist. Another charged, this one faster. Alex barely deflected it with the shimmering shield given by the taller being. His arm jolted from the impact. Sparks scattered in the air. Behind him, the other beings chanted in their strange language, their staffs glowing brighter with each word. Together they pushed forward, driving the shadows back toward the arch. Alex felt the pendant against his chest grow warm, then hot until it flared with light. The remaining shadows recoiled, retreating into the stone passage with a shriek that echoed deep underground. Silence returned, broken only by Alex's ragged breathing. Guide lowered its staff. You, ready for skyways, it said, voice steady but touched with pride. Alex looked at the glowing pendant in his hand and managed a tired smile.
They emerged from the hollow vein
hours later, he said, the air outside feeling sharper and almost sweet after the heavy damp of the caverns. Sunset bled across the alien sky, 2 moons already visible, one pale blue, one a deep crimson. Alex shielded his eyes and looked back. The stone arch now seemed quiet, almost harmless, though he knew what stirred within. Guide led the way back toward higher ground. The other 3 beings walked in silence, only their staff lights swaying gently with each step. Alex felt a buzzing in his ears, the residue of the pendant's power still clinging to him. He could sense the earth beneath his boots in a way he hadn't before, almost as if it were breathing. What were those shadows? He finally asked. Guide took a long time to answer. Not life, not death. Broken minds, hungry. We hold them back. Alex felt a chill. He thought of Earth, of friends and family who believed he had vanished forever. He wondered if these shadows had once been explorers like him, caught between stars, broken and consumed. They camped that night beneath an outcropping of pale stone. A small fire burned with greenish flames, fueled by strange resin. The beings sat in a circle, speaking in low tones. Alex sat apart, staring up at the twin moons. This world, he murmured, feels alive and haunted. The taller being approached and lowered itself beside him. Its voice was low, almost gentle. You still walk, it said, when others fall. That is strength. Alex smiled faintly. I don't feel strong. Just stubborn. Stubborn, the being echoed, tasting the word. Then it nodded. Good. At dawn they climbed a ridge overlooking an endless valley of silver-leaf trees. Beyond, faint glimmers marked distant cities or perhaps something stranger. Guide stopped, staff raised, as though listening to a voice carried on the wind. Next path, it said at last. Skyways. Old ones built them. We ride. Alex blinked. Ride what? His answer came soon. At the edge of the valley stood shapes like towers of bone and metal, dormant machines half buried in vines. As they approached, the machines stirred, panels shifting, lights awakening like old eyes. One unfurled great blades that shimmered, humming with hidden power. These are ships. Alex breathed. Guide placed a hand on the nearest hull. Half ship, half beast. They know stars. The thought of flying again made Alex's heart leap and clench at the same time. He remembered the wreck of his original vessel, the alarms, the flames, the void swallowing everything. But something deeper whispered, try again. They spent hours preparing the Skyway beast. Alex helped where he could, adjusting panels, cleaning old joints, fitting strange crystal cells into sockets that pulsed when seated correctly. The taller being showed him how to coax the creature's systems awake with gentle taps and words. By afternoon, the ship beast shuddered and rose from its cradle of vines, balancing on thrumming anti-grav fields. The hum vibrated through Alex's bones. He climbed aboard behind Guide, gripping a railing that pulsed faintly under his hands. The others joined, securing their staffs in clamps along the interior. Guide turned, eyes gleaming. Hold, it said simply. With a sudden surge, the ship beast lifted higher, leaves and dust spiraling in its wake. The valley spread beneath them like a painting. Silver trees, shadowed gullies, winding rivers glowing with inner light. Higher still, until the spire city was a mere glimmer, until the twin moons seemed within reach. Alex laughed. Part exhilaration, part disbelief. The wind tore past him, cool and wild. I'm flying again, he whispered to no one in particular. Guide pointed toward the horizon, where a faint chain of floating stones formed a path through the clouds. Skyways, it said. Follow. Learn. Alex tightened his grip, feeling the hum of the vessel and the pulse of the pendant align in rhythm. For the first time since his crash, hope burned brighter than fear. Whatever waited beyond those stones, he was ready to face it.